Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the rum that I have in front of me from a British independent bottler called William Cadenhead. Now, Cadenhead has been around for a very long time, and of course they're primarily known as being bottlers of whiskies, so they're not entirely unknown to the world at large, but in rum terms they are actually equally famous because when I first started getting involved in the rum game, they were essentially one of the few, like Berry Brothers and Rudd, like A.D. Rattray, or like Gordon and MacPhail, who were producing whiskey makers who were producing rums at cask strength and single barrel editions from time to time. Now, unlike all those others who produced barrels pretty much when they felt like it and basically came up with their bottle here and their bottle there, Cadenhead did something different. They basically did this consistently, and they created three, some would say four, separate lines of rums. One of them was the Caribbean blends of indeterminate age, indeterminate origin, and that's this one, right? Now, this particular one is about 17 years old, and it's got like 3 or 4 different islands rums in it, including Guyana, which is not an island. But you're never actually quite sure what you were getting, only that you were trusting Cadenhead to come up with something of real quality. The second line of rums they have is the Green Label edition, which is this one. And straight, the label is actually more yellow than green, but we'll pass on that. And these are individual countries' rums blended into a much larger outturn. And, they all have a consistent age. This one, for example, is a Panama 8, but I've got a Bainley 12 upstairs, and there's a few others of that kind. The other one, the last one, the most valuable one for many people, is what's called the dated distillations. Those have labels something like this. This is actually a newly redesigned label. The old one is a little bit more ornate. And those are single barrel releases from favorite distilleries, of course in the Guyana's case from favorite stills, and they are usually much older, cask strength, and this thing goes back a very long way. For example, in Germany not too long ago, they were doing a run through of a lot of very old 1960s Cadenheads, which just, to be there and taste that would have been epic, wouldn't it? Okay, so this one. This one is a Trinidad rum. It's from Trinidad Distillers Limited, and that doesn't immediately excite anybody because, of course, the first thing you're thinking about is Angostura, which makes competent blends and kind of like goes mass market, but doesn't actually produce very much that people consider must-haves and so on. If you want to talk about Trinidad, you're talking, of course, about Caroni or Caroni, depending on the accent of the person who's talking. This, however, is worth another look because this thing is actually quite spectacular, and on the face of it, there's not that much that would tell you so. For example, it is TDL, right? As I said, it's a column still product. It was distilled in February 2001, and it was bottled in 2020, so it's a 19-year-old, and they bottled it at 55%. Beyond that, you're not really getting a whole lot, aside from the fact that it's got 294 bottle outturn, so single barrel, But the thing is quietly magnificent. It has got a bunch of tastes in it that are simply unbelievable, and the nose gets you started right away. There's something really whiskey-like about this thing that normally I wouldn't quite enjoy, but is really quite nice. For example, it's a little bit salty, it's got some licorice, it's got some marmite in it, it's got prunes, cherries, dates. There's a lot of very deep, dark, almost demerara-like profile notes to this aroma that I really quite liked. And the 55% doesn't strain at all. It simply delivers everything in a really nice way straight into your nose. And you just know you've got something quite incredible here. And the fact that it's a whiskey guy who gave me this with his recommendation, which I took with a pinch of salt, should tell you a lot about how other people might regard this. To taste, oh man. People overuse the word smooth, and for 55%, you're not actually getting that. What you're getting is something of extremely firm strength without actually trying to stab your gullet, into insensibility. It's that kind of experience. But a lot of what you got from the nose carries over here, and it's simply very rich. It's got that muscovado sugar, it's got molasses, it's got the prunes, the cherries, the deep dark Christmas cake style fruits. It really is intense, but in a really good way, because what it does is it lasts for a very long time and all the flavors really marry really well together, including some aromatic tobacco and leather and smoke and so on. Very nicely dialed back, but integrating really well into the whole thing. This is absolutely barrel stuff. I mean, this is not coming from fermentation. At least I don't think so. It just doesn't have that vibe to it, you know? But what it is it's a really incredible piece of work that one doesn't expect from Angostura. Now, when I wrote my initial review about this thing, I said that it was very likely to have a little bit of Corona inside. And I can't quite get rid of that feeling, although nobody else has since come back and substantiated that. But then I haven't got that much to share. I do have another bottle upstairs that I share with people who come here. But for the most part, people just like it and say, yeah, it's great. And then they just don't make any inferences about it. I do believe that this is one of Cadenhead's best Trinidad rums that they've produced. Sure, it's all done within the new century, but that's no disqualifier at all. This is a rum that if you can get one of the 292 bottles that are left, is absolutely worth your time, and I strongly recommend that you try and get one. It probably will cost a fair bit. I think I've seen this go for like anywhere between $200 and $300 Canadian dollars. I don't think it's available in Canada anymore, but if any of you guys over the water or down south of 49 can get it, by all means give it a shot. It's worth it. And that's it for today, and I hope you do enjoy it if you ever manage to find it. And as usual, if you have a comment, please let me know, and good drinking. Up spirits. Take care, everybody.